Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. We'll explore his personal journey, the book's core principles, and of course those S.A.V.E.R.S practices everyone's talking about. I think you'll find some of his personal stories pretty inspiring.
Well, it's really interesting how this entire concept originated from a point in Elrod's life when he was going through a really difficult time, facing depression and financial troubles, actually. So Miracle Morning didn't exactly come from, some sort of enlightened experience on a mountaintop or something like that. It actually arose from a pretty dark place.
So he was in a difficult situation and he needed a way out, and that's what led him to this whole idea of self-improvement.
Right, exactly. I mean, he realized how important personal development was, but he just didn't know where to find the time for it with his busy schedule. And his answer, he decided to wake up an hour earlier every day. It sounds simple, but that decision really became the foundation for his entire philosophy.
It does sound kind of counterintuitive though, right? Like giving up sleep to somehow achieve more. But Elrod doesn't shy away from the hard truths about reaching our full potential.
No, he doesn't. In fact, he states that a whopping 95% of people might never actually reach their full potential and will just settle for a life of, well, mediocrity. It's definitely a wake up call. It makes you think about what actually contributes to this widespread phenomenon.
So what does he say are the main things that hold people back?
Well, he points to seven different causes. But I think the most significant ones are a lack of purpose, a lack of proactivity, and neglecting personal growth. He argues that most of us are essentially living on autopilot and allowing external circumstances to dictate how happy we are.
So his idea is that we need to take control of our lives and actively create the future we want.
Exactly, and that's where the S.A.V.E.R.S come in. It's his framework for personal transformation. Each letter represents a specific practice. So we have silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, which is just another word for journaling.
Let's start with silence. It seems like, well, a lot of people struggle to find silence in our always connected world. What's Elrod's take on that?
He calls it purposeful silence, and it can take various forms like meditation, prayer, or even just sitting quietly with your thoughts. The point is to intentionally create stillness and reconnect with your inner self to find some peace in the midst of all the daily chaos.
Makes sense. Now, affirmations. I got to admit, I've always kind of struggled with them. They just feel kind of, I don't know, forced.
Well, the key is to create affirmations that truly resonate with your own values and goals. Elrod suggests a three-step process to make them more powerful. First, you identify what you want to improve in your life. Then you articulate why it's important to you. And lastly, you get very specific about what actions you'll take to achieve it and set a timeline. This way, you're transforming vague wishes into actual commitments.
I see. So it's about turning those ideas into actionable steps. Okay, what about visualization? Is it really more than just daydreaming?
Elrod views it as a form of mental rehearsal. And it's not just about visualizing the end result, but about visualizing each step towards achieving it and experiencing the positive emotions that go along with it. So you're essentially imagining yourself taking action, feeling excited and determined, which makes you more likely to actually follow through.
So we're almost like athletes training for a big competition, but we're training our minds for success.
Exactly. Next up is exercise. Elrod's a big advocate for morning workouts to boost energy, improve focus, and just, enhance your overall well-being. It's about starting your day with that physical momentum.
Okay, next we have reading, which is, well, near and dear to my heart. Does he recommend specific types of books or any particular genres?
He suggests focusing on nonfiction books by people who have already achieved the things you aspire to. He's all about modeling success. So he
Yeah.
believes that by reading, you can gain the knowledge, the perspectives, and the strategies you need to transform any area of your life.
It's like having a roadmap to get where you want to go. And finally, scribing, essentially journaling. How does that fit into the framework?
He sees journaling as a powerful tool for self-reflection, documenting your gratitude and acknowledging your accomplishments. It helps you develop a more positive and growth-oriented mindset. You're creating a tangible record of your journey, a place to process your thoughts and celebrate your wins.
That makes sense. But what about those of us who don't have a lot of time in the mornings? Does he offer any solutions for fitting these practices into a busy schedule?
He does. He calls it the 6-minute miracle morning. Essentially, you spend just 1 minute on each of the S.A.V.E.R.S practices.
I like it. It's definitely doable, even for people who are super busy. But Elrod doesn't just focus on mornings, does he?
No, you're right. He actually expands his philosophy to the evening as well, with something he calls the miracle evening routine. It's a set of practices designed to promote relaxation, reflection, and a good night's sleep. And just like with the S.A.V.E.R.S, he has another acronym for this one, S.L.U.M.B.E.R.S.
Another acronym, huh? But before we dive into that, I want to go back to Elrod's personal journey, particularly his struggle with limiting beliefs. It's one thing to preach all these principles, but I'm curious, how did he actually embody them in his own life?
That's where his story gets really inspiring. He talks about how he went from being someone who absolutely hated running to completing an ultramarathon. And he divided this journey into three 30-day phases: unbearable, uncomfortable, and unstoppable.
So he's emphasizing that the first step is always the hardest, pushing past those initial barriers and realizing you're capable of more than you thought.
Right. He says the first 10 days are usually the toughest when you just want to give up. But if you push through that, you enter a phase of discomfort where the new habit becomes less daunting. And eventually you reach a point where the habit feels almost effortless. You're riding the momentum of your success. It's really a testament to the power of consistency and resilience.
It's a great illustration of how we can change our beliefs about ourselves and overcome the limitations we've placed on ourselves. Now, I'm curious about Elrod's view on sleep. He seems to have a different perspective on the whole 8 hours of sleep thing, doesn't he?
He does. While he recognizes the importance of sleep, he also believes that our mindset plays a huge role in how we feel when we wake up. He argues that if we go to bed stressed, obsessing over getting a certain number of hours, we're setting ourselves up to wake up feeling the same way.
So it's not just about how much sleep we get, but also about our thoughts and beliefs around sleep.
Exactly. He suggests setting a positive intention before bed, focusing on good thoughts, and even using affirmations to kind of program your subconscious mind for restful sleep. He even recommends putting your alarm clock across the room to make it harder to hit the snooze button. It's all about creating an environment that supports better sleep.
It seems like there's a recurring theme here. Elrod really emphasizes taking control of our mornings, our thoughts, our sleep habits, and even our deepest beliefs.
You're right. He believes that true freedom comes from mastering our inner world, regardless of what's going on around us. And he calls this state of inner freedom and gratitude the miracle life.
So it's about recognizing that happiness isn't just dependent on our circumstances. It's about how we choose to perceive and respond to those circumstances.
Exactly. He even talks about Viktor Frankl, who managed to find meaning and purpose even while imprisoned in a concentration camp. It's a testament to the incredible resilience of the human spirit.
Frankl's experience is an incredible example of how we can transcend even the most difficult situations by changing our internal framework.
Absolutely. And Elrod emphasizes the importance of accepting reality, using what he calls the 5-minute rule to deal with difficult emotions, and cultivating gratitude as a path to happiness. It's about navigating those unavoidable challenges in life with grace and resilience.
This 5-minute rule, I'm intrigued. What's the main idea behind it? Is it just about setting a timer?
It's a bit more than that. It's about giving yourself permission to fully experience those negative emotions, whether it's anger or sadness or disappointment, but only for a set period of time. And once those 5 minutes are up, you consciously choose to accept the situation, acknowledge that you can't change it, and redirect your focus to the things that are within your control. So it's a structured way to process your emotions without letting them overwhelm you.
So it's a way to acknowledge and deal with difficult emotions without letting them dictate your actions or your overall well-being.
hmm
And how does gratitude fit into all of this?
Well, he sees gratitude as a really powerful antidote to negativity. He believes that by intentionally focusing on what we're grateful for, we shift our perspective, cultivate positivity, and experience more happiness and contentment in our lives. It's about actively appreciating the good things we already have.
It's about seeing that silver lining even when you're surrounded by storm clouds.
Exactly. And Elrod points out that gratitude isn't just a fleeting emotion, it's a conscious state of being. It's about experiencing every moment with appreciation, no matter what's going on around you. So it's really about cultivating that attitude of thankfulness.
Before we move on to the miracle evening and unpack that S.L.U.M.B.E.R.S acronym, let's just take a moment to summarize what we've discussed so far.
All right, sure. We started by looking at the origins of the miracle morning, how it came from Elrod's personal struggles, and his realization about the importance of personal development. Then we explored his 95% reality check, which paints a pretty stark picture of how many people settle for mediocrity and why that happens.
We went on to discuss the 6 S.A.V.E.R.S practices: silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. each one designed to help us take control of our mornings and make positive changes in our lives.
Right. We also talked about Elrod's personal transformation from a non-runner to an ultra-marathoner, highlighting those three phases of habit change: unbearable, uncomfortable, and unstoppable.
We touched upon his views on sleep, the powerful influence of our mindset, and his strategies for setting ourselves up for more restful nights.
And finally, we explored the concept of the miracle life, Elrod's idea of achieving inner freedom and gratitude by accepting reality, using the 5-minute rule to process those challenging emotions, and cultivating a grateful outlook.
Now, are you ready to dive into the miracle evening?
Absolutely. Let's explore how Elrod's philosophy goes beyond just the morning routine.
Okay, so tell me more about this miracle evening. Does it also have a structured approach like the morning routine with its own set of practices?
You could definitely say that. It's all about taking specific actions to help you unwind and prepare for a really good night's sleep. And like I mentioned, Elrod uses the acronym S.L.U.M.B.E.R.S to outline his evening routine. I know it's a mouthful, but it actually breaks down into some insightful steps.
All right, I'm curious to see how he managed to fit all of that into one acronym. Let's break it down. What does that first S stand for?
That S stands for stop eating 3 to 4 hours before bed. Basically, Elrod emphasizes the importance of giving your body enough time to digest before you hit the pillow. He suggests that eating late at night can really mess with your sleep and leave you feeling sluggish in the morning.
Right, that makes sense. I've definitely experienced that feeling of being groggy after a big late night dinner. What about the L? What does that represent?
The L stands for let go of stressful thoughts and feelings. Elrod recognizes that often, anxieties and worries tend to surface right before bed, and his advice: to actively release those thoughts, maybe through journaling, meditation, or even just doing a calming activity.
So it's almost like giving your mind permission to disconnect from all those stresses of the day. What about the U?
The U stands for use natural sleep aids if needed. He actually openly talks about his own struggles with insomnia and how he found relief through natural supplements like melatonin and magnesium.
That's good advice. But of course, it's important to be careful with any kind of supplements, even natural ones. It's always a good idea to check with your doctor before adding anything new to your routine.
Oh, absolutely. Self-treating can be risky, and a doctor's guidance is essential. Okay, moving on to M. What does that letter represent in the miracle evening routine?
I'm all ears.
M stands for map out your next day. The idea is to get everything out of your head and onto paper, so to speak. Elrod suggests actually creating a detailed schedule for the following day, including everything from tasks and appointments to even your planned leisure time.
I can see how that would be helpful. I mean, when I have a clear plan for the day, I definitely sleep better because I don't wake up feeling overwhelmed or anxious about what I need to get done.
Okay, what's next in this acronym?
Next up is B, which stands for boycott blue light. This refers to the light emitted from electronic devices like phones, computers, and TVs. That blue light can actually interfere with your melatonin production and disrupt your sleep patterns. So Elrod advises avoiding screens for at least an hour before bed. So instead of scrolling through social media late at night, maybe pick up a good book instead.
Precisely. Then we have E for enter a blissful state with bedtime affirmations. Just like with the morning affirmations, this involves reciting positive statements that promote relaxation and peace.
I can imagine affirmations like, I am calm, I am relaxed, I am ready for a restful sleep would be helpful here.
Exactly. And that brings us to the last two letters, R and S, which stand for read a book that makes you feel good and sleep like a baby, respectively.
So it's all about ending your day on a positive note, relaxing with a good book, and preparing for a peaceful night's sleep.
Exactly. I think the Miracle Evening with its S.L.U.M.B.E.R.S framework is a great way to create a really deliberate and effective bedtime ritual. It's designed to unwind both your mind and your body and help you counteract all that stress and stimulation we face in our modern lives.
It's kind of like hitting that reset button after a long day and preparing yourself for a fresh start. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. The miracle morning, the miracle evening, Elrod's personal journey, his views on sleep, and that concept of the miracle life. It's been really fascinating.
And I think what's really important to highlight is that all of this is incredibly actionable. These are tools and strategies you can start incorporating into your life right away.
It's not just about passively taking in information. It's about using those insights to make tangible changes.
Exactly. It's about consciously deciding to move beyond that 95% reality and actively create the life you truly desire, a life that aligns with your values and aspirations.
So where do we go from here? How do we take all this information and translate into some practical takeaways for our listeners?
Well, to wrap up our deep dive into the miracle morning concept, let's distill everything we've discussed into 10 key takeaways that you can reflect on and perhaps even apply to your own life. Ready?
Absolutely. Let's hear them.
All right, the first takeaway is this. Anyone can create a life they love by prioritizing personal development. It's about becoming the architect of your own destiny and taking ownership of your growth.
That's a great point. It's about making that shift, from just existing to actually creating the life you want.
Right. And our second takeaway is that dedicating even a little bit of time each morning to self-improvement can lead to some pretty big positive changes. It's about setting the tone for the day and getting yourself in that success mindset.
It's like those small, consistent actions really start to build up over time.
Absolutely. The third takeaway is that the S.A.V.E.R.S framework provides 6 really actionable practices that can help boost your well-being and productivity. And the great thing is, you can tailor these practices to fit your individual needs and preferences.
It's like having a toolbox full of different tools for personal growth.
Exactly. The fourth takeaway is that you can absolutely overcome limiting beliefs, but it takes consistent effort and a commitment to growth. Remember Elrod's story about going from hating running to running an ultramarathon? That's a perfect example of how we're capable of so much more than we think we are.
It's all about pushing past those boundaries we set for ourselves.
Right. And the fifth takeaway is about recognizing that adequate sleep is not something you should sacrifice. It's essential for optimal performance.
I think sometimes we forget that. We push ourselves to the limit without realizing that a well-rested mind and body are actually crucial for success in everything we do.
Absolutely. And the sixth takeaway is that having a solid evening routine can make a huge difference in terms of preparing your mind and body for a good night's sleep. That miracle evening routine with its S.L.U.M.B.E.R.S acronym gives you a great framework for winding down and promoting relaxation.
It's like creating that separation between the busyness of the day and the calmness of sleep.
Exactly. Our seventh takeaway is about inner freedom. You achieve inner freedom by accepting reality and letting go of trying to control things that are outside your control.
That's such a powerful reminder. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we react to it.
Right. The eighth takeaway highlights the importance of gratitude. It's such a powerful tool for experiencing happiness and contentment. It's about shifting your focus to the positive aspects of your life.
No matter how small they might seem, right? It's about training your mind to see the good.
Exactly. And the ninth takeaway reminds us that even when times are tough, there are always things to be grateful for.
Even in the midst of challenges, we can still find those reasons to be thankful.
Exactly. And our 10th and final takeaway is this. The miracle life is a journey. It's a journey of growth, learning, and transformation. It's about embracing that process of becoming the best version of yourself.
And recognizing that there's always room for improvement, right? It's not about reaching some fixed destination, but about enjoying the journey along the way.
That's a great way to put it. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Miracle Morning, we want to leave you with this question. What's one small change you can make today to improve your mornings and ultimately your life? Maybe it's waking up 15 minutes earlier to fit in one of the S.A.V.E.R.S practices, or maybe it's setting a more positive intention before you go to sleep. Whatever it is, we encourage you to start your own Miracle Morning journey.
It's about taking those first steps, even if they're small, and seeing the ripple effect they create in your life. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring and keep learning.